Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a midwife and lactation consultant, and in this breastfeeding series, I'll be answering the most frequently asked questions around breastfeeding in the first hours, days, and weeks. Many mums ask the question, how do I know that my baby is drinking enough milk from my breast? Over the first few days, it's normal to only make small amounts. Then from around 3 days after your baby's birth, your milk volumes start increasing rapidly. This is why babies tend to lose weight at first, then start regaining it once they're drinking more milk. It might also feel like your baby's always hungry. However, newborns are designed to feed frequently, quite likely 10 to 12 times every 24 hours. It's nature's way of stimulating your breasts so that you can keep producing good volumes of milk. Despite knowing this, it can understandably be an area where mums would really like to know that their baby is getting enough milk. We live in a world where everything is measured, and sometimes not being able to see the milk actually go into our baby may make us wonder, are they really drinking enough? So here are the main ways to know that your baby is getting enough milk, despite your baby feeding 8 times per day, or that they're on the other end of the scale and feed closer to 12 times per day. Tip number 1. Monitor their weight. As we said just before, it's normal for babies to lose around 5 to 7% of their birth weight in the first 3 days. But once your milk comes in, we should start seeing that your baby is gaining weight again by day 4 to 5. And your baby should be back to their birth weight or above, ideally by days 10 to 14. From then on, babies normally gain somewhere between 150 grams or 5 ounces to 250 grams or 8 ounces each week until around 3 to 4 months of age. Your healthcare provider will help you track your baby's weight, length, and head circumference and give you support and advice if needed at any time point. Tip number 2. The next tips are what you can see on a daily basis and can really help settle your mind to know that your baby is getting enough milk. The first one of these is looking at how many wet diapers they're having in 24 hours. Yes, we are getting down and dirty into the diapers for this next section because this tells us everything. Think about it. What goes in must come out. So this is the perfect way for us to tell how much and how well our baby is drinking. So how many wet diapers should we be expecting? On day 1, 1 to 2 wet diapers. They are unlikely to be very heavy at this point, and they may even have a smear of something which looks reddish brown in them, often described as looking like brick dust. This is known as urates and is normal for babies to pass up until day 3. When they begin to drink more milk, this stops. If you keep seeing urates in their diaper after day 3, then consult with your healthcare provider, as this may be a sign they are not drinking enough milk. On day 2, 2 or more wet diapers. On day 3, 3 or more wet diapers. And on day 4, 4 or more wet diapers. And now you should be noticing that they are getting heavier. On day 5 and beyond, 5 or more heavy, soaked, wet diapers. A good tip to know that your baby's diaper is really wet is to hold a fresh new diaper in one hand and the dirty one in the other. You should easily be able to feel that the dirty one is much heavier than the clean one. But what about poopy diapers? Do they matter too? Absolutely. Oh my goodness, by the end of the first week, you'll get so excited at seeing the different types of poos in their diapers, I cannot tell you. So let's take a look at what you should be expecting for an exclusively breastfed baby's poo. On day one or more pooey diaper. But it's not just the number of poopy diapers you get each day, but in these first few days, it's actually what it looks like and its consistency. On day one, babies will be pooping meconium. This is their first poo and it looks like black, sticky tar. As the milk starts to flow through them, their poos will change all the way to bright yellow. On day two, we are expecting to see 1 to 2 poopy diapers, and now the consistency should be starting to change, becoming more brown, less sticky. On day 3 and beyond, we are expecting to see 2 or more pooey diapers every day from now on, with a quantity similar to the size of a cherry tomato or a strawberry. From day 3 onwards, the poo should be more of a greenish brown color, moving to a brownish yellow, and they should no longer be sticky. On day 4, this is where we should start seeing the real breast milk poos. I'm sure you've heard of them, and the best way I can describe them is to imagine English mustard mixed with whole grain mustard, but with a more watery consistency. The perfect breast milk poo. Some mums worry that these poos are actually diarrhea. They are not. Breast milk is so easy for the baby to absorb, they don't have firm poos at this stage. As long as you can clearly see the poo on top of the diaper and it's not just water which is soaked completely through underneath the layers, then this is a good sign that these are normal breast milk poos. If you notice any other colours or consistencies, then it is recommended that you contact your healthcare provider. Likewise, if your baby is not meeting these milestones in their diapers, it can be a very clear sign that your baby is not drinking enough milk. And it is important to seek support from your healthcare provider quickly. It is also important to note that from 6 weeks of age, breastfed babies will continue having 5 or more heavy, wet diapers each day. But some babies will have dirty diapers much less regularly. Some babies continue to poop daily, whilst others may not go for a week. Both variations, absolutely normal. The consistency of the breast milk poos will look the same until you start introducing solid foods from 6 months. Tip number 3. Babies who are feeding enough will have quite a lot of sleeping time in the first few weeks. Often all they seem to do is feed and sleep with little interaction. A well-fed baby in those first few weeks falls asleep after a feed and is usually content most of the time. Do not be fooled by this. I do not mean that they won't be feeding frequently. They are likely to be feeding 10 to 12 times every 24 hours, and each feed may last somewhere between 20 minutes to 60 minutes. So you will be very busy, but after and in between those feeds, your baby should be content and sleep. Of course, there are periods where they cry. This is normal for all babies. We also know that there are certain time periods where babies will have developmental growth spurts, where they want to feed much, much more than on the days before. They may do this for a few days and then go back to their previous feeding pattern. This is perfectly normal. And as we know, breastfeeding is not just about food. It's cuddle time, reassurance. And at times of teething and discomfort, it also acts as a pain reliever. Watch and observe your baby. It is unlikely that they will have exactly the same feeding pattern every day for 6 months. But you can reassure yourself that your baby is getting enough milk if they are having periods where they are calm and they sleep in between feeds. You are changing the correct amount of wet and dirty diapers. Your baby actively asks and looks for feeds, and they're growing at the expected rate. And remember, as they get older, from around 4 to 5 weeks, you will start seeing them stay awake for longer periods and having more interaction with you. Tip number 4, your breast should be feeling softer after a feed. Tip number 5, it is normal for some positing or spitting up. Nearly all babies at some stage will have little vomits after they've fed. This is totally normal, and often a tiny amount goes a very long way. It can look like the whole feed has come up, but it is highly unlikely that it has. It's normally just a little bit extra that they thought they could fit into their tummy, but it turns out they couldn't. There are some signs of abnormal vomiting. This would be when the colour doesn't look like milk. For example, it's green or orange, or if there is projectile vomiting. This is vomiting which will probably travel from one side of the sofa to the other. Normally, if there is vomiting like this, your baby would be unsettled and they probably wouldn't be gaining weight effectively. These are all signs to seek immediate support from your healthcare provider. If your baby is following along with these guidelines, it is more than likely that your baby is getting enough milk. But as with all new skills, it is important to seek regular support from your healthcare provider and local breastfeeding support group. You can download our infographic, which contains all of this information from our website. For more breastfeeding tips and support, you can check out our other videos in the lactation series.